Wow, listen to this.
Oh, wow.
The deadline to avoid a government shutdown is midnight tonight.
The Senate Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, is backing down on his fight to block Trump's agenda, handing the president a big win.
Aishah Hasnie is live on Capitol Hill with all the details for us. Hey, Aishah.
Hey, good morning to you guys. So we are expecting that vote on cloture to happen about 1:15 this afternoon. That is the most important vote, even more important than the government funding bill, because it unlocks that government funding bill. And that vote requires 8 Democrats to help Republicans out. That is why there's been so much beef on Capitol Hill. So we are still waiting to see how many Democrats who will join Senator Schumer after he made that big announcement last night. And the Democratic Party, really in crisis mode right now because there are still so many Democrats in the House and in the Senate that oppose this government funding bill because it does not include that provision they wanted that would block President Trump and Elon Musk and Doge from cutting more from the federal government that they are trying to fund right now. So as I said, last night, Minority Leader Chuck Schumer came out with this stunning announcement. He caved to Republicans and said that he would be supporting this short-term government funding bill, that he would help Republicans. And he said it's because a shutdown would have been so much worse for federal workers. Watch.
The Trump administration would have full authority to deem whole agencies, programs, and personnel non-essential, furloughing staff with no promise they would ever be rehired.
The change of heart came after a very tense lunch among Senate Democrats yesterday, in which I could personally hear what sounded like Senator Kirsten Gillibrand screaming at her colleagues about how a shutdown would look for them. Republicans are now taking a victory lap.
Chuck Schumer overplayed his hands, and fortunately we have Leader Thune who just outmaneuvered him. Thune said from the very beginning of this Congress that the Democrats can either do this the easy way or do it the hard way, and they have chose the hard way the entire time.
So remember I said the party is in crisis mode. The left is absolutely eviscerating Schumer right now. AOC calling his decision devastating. She says there's actually still time to convince enough Democrats in the Senate to vote against this thing.
I think there is a deep sense of outrage and betrayal. And this is not just about progressive Democrats. This is across the board, the entire party.
So, guys, all of the House Democrats are actually at their retreat right now in Leesburg, Virginia. That's where we caught up with AOC. And there are reports that there are a ton of Democrats that are lobbying AOC to now primary Senator Chuck Schumer in New York. So there is a lot of angst right now ahead of this vote.
So, Aishah, you should know that she's barely popular in Queens. She does not have the constituency to primary a powerful senator like Schumer. But let me ask you, so you heard the screaming, and is it your belief that she was saying we have no choice, we have to pass this because it'll give, on the premise it'll give Donald Trump and Elon Musk more power if you shut down the government?
So that is what it sounded like to all the reporters that were standing on the other side of this door. It's a very thick Senate, door, and so it's hard to hear word for word what she was saying, but it did sound like she was telling her colleagues after a more than an hour-long meeting that this is a bad look for us, that if the government shuts down, this isn't an ordinary shutdown, that in this political climate, it's going to look very, very bad for Democrats. And this was a really tough political corner that Schumer was backed into. He was damned if he did this, damned if he didn't. And so he really did what I think a lot of people that have been on Capitol Hill for a long time, what Kevin McCarthy did, what Mitch McConnell has done, and he chose to keep the government open.
But Aishah, a lot of us knew that they were going to eventually cave, but not so quickly. What happened to cause the cave so quickly? I mean, we were anticipating a shutdown, working over the weekend, prepare for this moment.
So 2 things. I think Kirsten Gillibrand yelling at them probably also was a big part of it. But also there are vulnerable Democrats that are up for re-election in 2 years. So there is some thought that this was a political calculation by the leader to sort of shield those Democrats. We're talking about people like Jon Ossoff, Raphael Warnock in Georgia. We're talking about a bunch of different people who will face tough re-elections. So they may not want to vote for this thing. And they're coming out and saying,
they said
on
no.
Twitter right now. Yeah, they're coming out and saying they're not voting for this. But again, the key vote to look for tonight is not the actual government funding bill. As a Democrat, if you're a Democrat, Lawrence, which I hate to say to you because I know you don't like that, but if you're a Democrat, you can tell your constituents, I'm a no on government funding, but a yes on the vote to cloture, to unlock the bill. That's the key. That's the one that matters. That's the one that Republicans need them on. They need 60 votes. That's the threshold, overcoming the filibuster. And they need about 8, 6 really, because they have Fetterman and Schumer now.
Now that Schumer has backed down and says he's going to vote to keep the government funded and running, are other Democrats following suit? Do you know? Do the Republicans have the 7 Democrats that they need?
Yeah, we don't know yet. People have not publicly come out other than John Fetterman and Schumer. We believe Tim Kaine has already come out and said that he would be open to this if they got amendment votes. So that's what happens in the next couple of hours. Is the two sides will probably talk about amendments, and then that might be enough to make certain Democrats feel comfortable. But Chuck Schumer would not have come out and announced this if he didn't already have names.
Interesting.
Of all 8.
Aishah, thanks so much. Great reporting as usual. So I think there's a couple of things happening. Number one, Fetterman came out and said, I will never vote to shut down the government. But this is the responsible thing to do. I would say the same thing if Mitch McConnell, it was 4 years ago, Mitch McConnell was in the minority. Because if you shut down the government, it is a cataclysmic event that just puts more chaos into the market and other things. And what's the outcome? What is the outcome? There is nobody that would look at this and say this isn't all the Democrats' fault. You don't want to continue to fund the government that you've outlined you funded under Joe Biden.
Yeah.
We added in border funding and we added in more military funding.
Democrats are in a tough spot because they don't want to give Donald Trump this win, but they also have preached against government shutdowns for the last, decade? And then they also voted for the CR last September. They voted for it again in December under Joe Biden. They just hate Trump so much they don't want to give him a win.
They were boxed in on from two perspectives. A, they would have got the blame for the shutdown. But 2, if they did shut down the government, that would have given the president and Elon Musk more control of what was considered a priority or not. So they were damned if they did, damned if they didn't at that point.
Yeah.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.